Let's model a simple polygonal pear and texture it. And we'll add some basic lighting so that we can see the textures applied. Okay, so I'll change this one to the front viewport. Search online for pear references. So I do have one right here that I will use for to kind of trace. And then you can also search for this texture right here. It's low res, but this is just for learning. We'll try and increase our resolution when we paint, but if you search pear texture, you'll find this one. You can just kind of borrow it. Same thing with this one. Okay, so those you can find online. So I'll delete this for now. This one we will use as a guide, so I will try my best to kind of center this. Let's go to wireframe and X-ray, sorry. All right, I'm gonna try and position that here, and then just kind of scale it so that it's almost the same size as the cube right here. I'm trying to line up the center right here in the blue line. Okay, so we're just modeling the actual fruit, the stem. It's just a cylinder with some texture right there. So we're not going to do that one. For this one, it's just the shape right here. Okay, so I will grab the cube right now. Okay, and then we will use this one to trace it. So I'm not going to be using curves. I'm going to be using polygons for this one. So I'll go to edit mode. Make sure that all points are selected. So I'm going to press A to select everything, and then M to merge at center. What happens that all those points, all 8 of them, merge into a single point here, and I'm still in edit mode, and that point is still selected. So I'm going to go press G. I'm going to position that. Actually, let me show you here with the move tool. I'm going to grab it along the Z-axis, so that's the center excuse me, of the pear, or the world in Blender. Okay, and as you can see here, this pear is not symmetrical, but when we model it, it'll be symmetrical. Then we will make some sculpting, grab brush to kind of change the angle a bit and whatnot. Okay, so from here, I'm just going to press E to extrude, and I'm on the front viewport here. Make sure you're in a flat viewport. So I'm going to go, and I'm tracing the left-hand side profile of the pear. Okay, so relatively low poly, but there's some areas right here where you need to preserve that shape when we apply our subdivision surface. So those probably need a little bit more detail to them, but right here in the midsection, not a whole lot. So, and we're coming along kind of like the same idea right now with the top, where we're kind of preserving this, giving it a little bit more detail. Okay, so I want to make sure those two are lined up together, so I can snap that. I can also move it later once we have the pear in a 360 shape. Okay, so we are now done with this image. So I'm just going to select that image and delete. Okay, we now have our our pear shape right here. Make sure that edge extrusion is selected. We're going to apply the modifier screw. Once we do that, you can see here we have our pear shape. So let's go to our solid mode, non-X-ray of course, and now let's take a look. Okay, the beauty of this one is you can keep it here as solid. Okay, I'm gonna go to the front because that's the original, but if I hit tab and X-ray right here, I have access to the line, and then this thing is still interactive, so I can still edit, you know, fix some of this if I'm not happy with it. This one right here obviously went over the blue line, so I'm going to push that back and then maybe curve that a little bit like so. Okay, all right, so let's say we're pretty happy with this shape. There's not you know, maybe move that up just a bit, Okay, and we're pretty happy with that one. What we need to do now is apply the screw modifier. So let's apply that. Okay, and when I hit tab, as you can see, it's now a polymesh. We no longer have access to that line. We have committed to the shape, and this is what we want to texture. Okay, so there's that. So I recommend at this stage you should save your file, so in case you crash, you get to keep your Pear. Okay, so let's do our unwrapping. Okay, so we unwrap this one. Let's go to our UV editing. Okay, I'm gonna press number 3 for poly mode here. Okay, and then let's turn on our screencast in this screen. Okay, I'm gonna press A to select all the faces. You can see it's treated as a still like a cylinder, so it still would work in a way with UV mapping, because I can just kind of select that in there, and as you can see here, going up and then down. It's kind of inside out, kind of like it caved in, and then same thing here at the bottom. Right, so let's go for more organic shape with the UV mapping on this one. So we will go to the front, okay, and then control 1 or tilde back. So we're seeing the back right now. I'm going to go to edge mode and select this line right here. So I'm going to alt click it. It selects it. Then this is the back. Okay, goes all the way to the bottom right there. And what we're going to do with this is mark this as a seam. Mark seam. So we are forcing Blender to recognize that this is a cut in the geometry. So now that we have cut that, and I put that in the back in case there's seams, you don't want to show it to the front of your fruit. But if you have like a 360 and whatnot, then it's still going to work, because the process to how we're going to texture this is through painting, so it will still work. So now if I press that and I press U to unwrap, and as you can see here, that line right there, well, let me go to poly mode so you can see. All right, that's the kind of connection right there. So it kind of filleted it, and that's where the connection is. All right, so that's our UV for this, and I think that would work really well with what we need. High concentration of packed polygon where the detail needs to be, and then here, it's just flat, and it's fine. All right, so we are done with the UV editing. We're now going to go create the texture for this. So for that one, we will go to texture paint. Okay, we will be making our own texture by doing a stencil paint on the Pear from the Pear skin that we downloaded online. So let's first bring in the texture. So I'm going to go here, the texture property looks like a checkered square. I'm going to click new and then click open. It's just basically asking where is that Pear texture that you downloaded. Okay, so for this one, it's this Pear texture. Oh, that's the wrong one. So let's get the other one. Download. Because I got 2 of these, Pear texture, and then Pear texture. I think I put it on the desktop. There it is. All right, so there it is. The Pear texture now is ready. So let's go back to painting. So I'm going to go here at the very top. You have that option right there. Okay, and then the type of texture, we're going to go here under texture. We're going to be doing not tiled but stencil. Okay, so there's that. So but before we jump into that one, let's create our material. It says no texture here. We're going to use just the base color, and we'll use that for the roughness and the bump map. Okay, I'm going to click plus. I'm going to click on base color. It's going to ask us, hey, what's the resolution? So for this one, so that it's a little bit faster to kind of visualize, we're just going to do a 2K. So I'm just going to do times 2. Okay, and then here 1024 times 2. You can also just type in 1024 if you want to make a 4K map. Obviously, you can put times 4 there. You get 4K by 4K map. Okay, I'm going to click OK. Leave everything as default. I'm going to click OK right here. Okay, and then we are now ready to paint this thing. So I'm going to go to preview mode here to make sure that we could see what we're painting. Okay, and then right here we're going to be using, we're not going to change the name for now. It's material base color. That's what it is. Okay, I'm going to click it, so now it's applied here as a white texture. So how do we control the stencil? So if you have a 3-button mouse, you can right click this map right here and drag it. Okay, you can drag it like so. Right click, drag. Okay, if you have shift and right, if you press shift on your keyboard and right click drag, you're scaling the map. Okay, and then if you do control right click, you're rotating the map. Okay, so we want to keep it kind of relatively flat for now, so it's easier to explain. I'm also going to change our viewport, force it to go front, so it's flat. So what happens is that whatever I slide my mouse right here, and then if I show that to you, it gets stenciled. That thing gets basically, it stencils the shape. So I think that particular size right there is pretty good for the dots or pores, all this imperfection for our pear size. Okay, so I will increase my radius size. You can press F. Let me turn on the screen keys for this. Screencast, sorry. And then press F to kind of enlarge it. You can also just drag that radius there. Strength 100 so that it's all evenly applied. So what I'm going to do here is make it a little bit obvious that we are painting all the way to the edge, and you will see this kind of stretch image right there, but you kind of get the idea. So that's the front. Okay, I'm going to go to the tilde. We're going to go to the back. I'll do the exact same thing, and don't worry about the edge right there. We'll get that fixed. You can see here it's updating. It's painting it based on those. Look right there. I'm going to go to number 3 or hit tilde. We're going to go right side. And I'll just kind of paint this like this. And we're going to go in there and fix those issues. Okay, and then tilde, left side, do the same thing. All right, so then we're going to go in 3D camera mode and do all that other stuff. So here I'm going to go to the top. All right, so to the top right here, I'm going to right click and kind of drag it. I do want to make it kind of centered right there. And this is still a symmetrical model, so we're still going to change the symmetry of this pear, make it a little bit looking more natural. So now we're going to go to the bottom and just kind of paint that like so. Okay, so we've done what we can with the flat viewports. Okay, so now we can go in here. So you can see here it's not working out because that's the painting from the top and it's stretching right here. What we can do is start moving the I'm going to go back to the front right here, and then I'm going to right click, kind of drag this. So you can see I'm trying to match. I don't want to zoom in because that gives it a bigger pores. Okay, I'm trying to kind of get right there, position that, and then paint this so that all that stretchy paint that we have, okay, will kind of disappear. So you can see here it kind of fixed all that stuff here, but we have that stretching here on this side. So that was the front. Let me go to the back, kind of do the same thing. Okay, and we'll probably have to go back there. Sometimes you see that straight line because it happens to fall on a texture, and then you see those dots get painted just halfway. So here I'm going to go to the right. Okay, I don't want to drag too much here because that will stretch. Okay, and then we go to the left. Okay, let's kind of fix those. Yeah, let's take a look. All right, so that's not so bad. I still got to go back there and then do that. But let's go back to the front right here and then right click and drag this around here so we can get that area right there. Okay, so let's kind of quickly get those ones. So we're trying to get as much as we can with kind of like the flat viewports. And then we're gonna go and hit everything that's on an obscure angle. All right, so I think after this one, we'll revisit the top again, like so. And just going to slide it a little bit, right click, and then it's going to go apply that right there. Okay, so then drag it down here, paint it like so. Then as we can see here where we need to kind of ease in on the edge of the fall off. And I'm just using the vanilla regular fall off here, which is the soft fall. Okay, so right here, definitely we need to repaint this. Okay, so I'm gonna go here. All right, right here. Okay, be careful when you go. You don't want to paint that. That will create a streak stretching on that one. So just, all right, over here. Then right here, we'll paint that. And again, be careful here also, because this is where you get a lot of stretching. So basically, stencil, it's like clone stamping. So it's what's happening. If you're familiar with clone stamp or heel brush in Photoshop. All right, probably blend those better. And again, of course, you take your time doing this. Your result would be 100 times better than mine. Just kind of trying to show this for the sake of time here, that we're not spending too much time perfecting the paint. Okay, we're just, again, practice and put in the effort. Yours will be 100 times better than what I'm demoing here. Okay, so let's see. All right, I'll work right there. Here again, let's try and try to make it a little bit more even. There's a lot of stretching right here, because that's when we were painting using flat viewports, and whenever you hit the corners or the edge, you start getting all this imperfection kind of stuff. All right, so here I'm going to zoom out a little bit so it gets a little bit bigger, just so that I can kind of join those together. All right, so let's take a look. Well, here probably needs a little bit of TLC there. All right, so definitely you can tell right here with the, but you get the point, okay? Let me increase the brush size also. Okay, that would help with the non-patchy look. All right, so let's take a look. Maybe one last one for the top. All right, so we'll stop right there. And very important here that you go to image and then save. Okay, so it's going to ask where do you want to save this skin. So we call it the material base color. We're going to call it now Pear texture paint. So we know that's the one we texture painted. Okay, it's a PNG, no compression. It's 2K in size. We'll leave it on the desktop so we could easily find it. Okay, I'm going to save that image right there. So now we have this. So, and then when you go to your Blender to save your file, make sure you have external data automatically pack resource, so that whenever you go and open your Blender file, that texture will always be with you. Okay, I'm going to hit save right there. Let's call this one Pear modeling demo. All right, not emo, demo. All right, so save Blender file. Okay, now let's go to our modeling right here, and let's take a look what it looks like. All right, there it is. We got that kind of bad looking texture brush right there. But you get the point. Spend time. Don't rush it like what I did, so you can clone stamp it 100 times better than what I did. Okay. So now let's start changing the symmetry on this one. So one way to do it is to go to wireframe X-ray mode right here. I'm gonna go screencast, turn that on and off so you can see it. I'm gonna go to point mode, and I'm gonna grab here in the front, and I'm gonna rotate this just a little bit and put it back. Okay, and then lessen the selection. All right, so by doing that, we are no longer symmetrized just in the front, so we already have that. It's still symmetrized here on the side, so I'll do the same thing. Grab those and then just kind of rotate it just a bit and lessen the selection. Okay, all right, that's probably all we need for that. And then after that one, to get rid of more symmetry, we can go to our sculpt tool, sculpt mode, and then grab brush. So this way we can get some tiny sections like so, and then just kind of bulge those or pull them back. So very subtle, just so that it's not so symmetrized. All right, there it is. And let's take a look. Okay, looks like it's beaten up with the texture, but get a point. Okay, so now let's work on our shading. So let's go to shading. Okay, and then let's take a look at adding some nodes right here. So first is that we're going to duplicate this, Shift D. It's the same texture basically. Okay, and we call it what do we call it? Did we change it to? No, it's still base material color because we didn't change it from, we save it externally, but through paint it was still kind of like the same material there. So let's go to shading right here. Okay, and then I'm going to click this one where it says 2. That means they're no longer linked. This became a unique one. Its name now is base color 001, and you can change this now. So we can call this one we call this one Pear texture non-color. Okay, because we're going to use it for our roughness and our bump, so we're going to make that non-color. We're going to call this one Pear texture color. All right, so that thing's still plugged. Okay, this is now a non-color one, so let's add connect this to our normal, and since this is not a normal map, we need a vector bump. Okay, we're going to plug color to the height and then normal to normal. What's going to happen here is we're going to see a very rough representation of that one, and we're going to have to lessen the strength by a lot because we just need to give it a little bit of roughness right there. I mean bumpiness. Okay, I think let's see, distance wise not much we can do. Strength, let's lower that. Okay, so I'm like down to like 0.8, 0.9. Okay, we'll use the same one for our roughness. So we're gonna add a converter, color ramp, so we can control the shininess, and then the same non-color one, which is going to plug it to factor here, then color to roughness. All right, so now you're not seeing it yet. Let's also apply a subdivision surface to this now. Make it smooth. Subdivision surface, so it's a lot easier to 2x2 to see all this kind of imperfection. All right, so let's see here. This is the shininess, so this kind of controls, you know, which part gets shiny. All right, so if you want the pour to be shiny or you want that the reverse, you can flip this one, the white and the black, and then you can make the non-circle, the one to be shinier, and then the bump and whatnot to be non-shiny. Okay, we're also going to plug our color to our subsurface scattering input. Okay, and then we're going to give it kind of like that translucency because it's a fruit. And we're going to not too much on this one, because if you go too crazy it'll start becoming way too translucent. And that one right there kind of gave it that. If you look at our cheese texture, that's where it's at. Okay, one last one is because all this kind of crevice and whatnot, we want to apply an ambient occlusion. But before we do that, let me save this one, and let me go to our layout for now and then add some area lights to this so that we see that I deleted the light right there. I'm going to add a new light. Okay, but before that, I want to get our background color to be pure black. So I'm going to go to the environment, okay, the world property, color. So you get pure black right here. So I'm going to go Shift A. Let's add an area light. Move it up like so. Make it that big so that the spread is a lot. So, and then we're going to give it some wattage, maybe 500 watts. Maybe too much, 350. And then maybe move it away a little bit. All right. So. Okay, that's not so bad right there. And then we can go to the front here. I'm gonna increase that one a little bit, duplicate this, and then maybe, oh, did it duplicate it? Undo. Okay, Shift D. All right, let's rotate it here. Okay, all right, we only have two, okay. And then here, duplicate it again. Just kind of go like so that we see all the kind of possible angle that we needed. So when we preview it, all right, yeah, do spend more time with the texture, not like what I did, so it'll look better. Okay, let's go back to shading. I'm gonna go here to the fourth tab. Okay, because that gives you realist. That's the EV at least. Ambient occlusion here, bloom if we want, screen space reflection. Okay, turn those so that EV would look better. Okay, so here I can kind of tone down the shininess. Let's see here. Okay, just give it a little bit on that black right there. Okay. All right, and then our last one here before we end the video, let's add the ambient occlusion. So add node input ambient occlusion. All right, there it is. All right, and then we're going to add a shader. So we need to mix it with this. Ambient occlusion just gives that kind of like that ambient shadow. So kind of crevice like this will get a darker, kind of like a shadow to it. Okay, so we need to combine that with the principled BSDF here. So we need another one. We're going to add a shader, mix shader. Okay, so that's the one that's going to share it, and then we need to control this one. So that's another color ramp converter, color ramp, so we can control the ambient occlusion. Okay, so we go to color to factor. Okay, and then color to factor here. This one goes to the shader, the material, and then this one to the shader right there. Okay, so now when we change this one, as you can see, what's happening here is, let's see. there, AO to factor. All right, just kind of giving that so that just kind of give it that darker kind of crevice right there. So when you put your twig, it's ready to go. And here we're also getting some of that. Okay, a little bit. All right, and there it is. And if we take a look at our modeling right now, and then let's say put it on our camera, just so that we could see what it looks like if we render it. It would be fairly close to this, so let's not render the ugly texture. Maybe something like that, because you can rotate this. Yeah. So we go render image. All right, there it is. So a quick way to get a fruit. So this is not just a pear. You can do this on it with an apple, with an orange, lemon, any of those type fruits that you can find your texture, and you can easily create one low poly, and you can paint it on top, so you don't have to worry about a seam, and you can increase kind of like the resolution because you are painting a small patch, you know, of resolution throughout this one. But do a better job than I did. Spend more time to perfecting the paint and not just kind of like brush it like crazy. As you can see, there's like humps and everything. But I hope you enjoyed the lesson, and till the next one.